Have you ever felt like something in your life is just missing? Like no matter how hard you push or how much you achieve, a part of you still whispers, you're not enough. Maybe you've reached milestones that should feel fulfilling, yet something inside you still aches for more. That, my friend, is the Holy Spirit tugging gently at your heart, inviting you into a deeper, more intimate relationship with God. And the beautiful truth, it's not as nearly as complicated as the world makes it seem. All it takes is an open heart and an open mind. Welcome to the Step Into Your Calling podcast, a live workshop-style health and wellness experience designed to help you live with purpose, confidence, and spiritual clarity. Your host, Sol Lagunas, a registered nurse, mother of 3, wife, student, and faith-driven leader, brings practical wisdom and heartfelt encouragement to guide you as you step boldly into the calling God has placed on your life. Are you ready to begin? Hello, happy Tuesday. I'm recording this on a Tuesday. Welcome to season 3 of the Step Into Your Calling podcast. I am super excited. It's been a while. I've been in the background, kind of gathering my thoughts and ideas for what's to come in this season of the podcast. And of course, as you know, I use God as my guidance to really tune into what He wants me to share with you. And during this time of silence, this break time, I have learned so much in this faith journey that I decided to dive into back in 2020. And, with that being said, I've been learning and I'm still learning, right? And the podcast itself has been a project that is very dear and near to my heart. God planted this seed a very, very long time ago, even before 2020. And what I thought it was going to be, this podcast is not at all what it is today and what it's going to be in the next few years. I hope and I pray that it continues to be successful and that you continue to tune in for every single new episode that I launch. And so with this new idea for season 3, we're really diving into more of a how to build a relationship with God. That is something that I'm very passionate about. And unlike what the world may make it seem, it's not complicated whatsoever. And as you start engaging into your relationship with God, things don't get easier. And I want to make sure that I don't preach on that. It does not get easier. Life does not get easier, but building a relationship with God is easy. And as you get to know Him a little bit more, your heart starts to transform. And it's not something that you have control over. It's not something that I had control over. It just starts happening, as you get to know your Father in heaven, you start to lean more into the characteristics that He portrays all through the Old Testament and the New Testament. So I'm very excited to get into this journey with you. Now, a lot of the things that I'm going to be discussing are biblical or biblically related, but also life, right? I do still have a full-time job and I do a lot of fellowship. I host my own Bible studies annually, and that's something that also has been changing and transforming as I have taken a break from podcasting. Now, during that break, I continuously thought, I need to go back. I need to create more content. I need to share more information because a lot of the things that I've been learning, it's something that I can definitely share with you and kind of get that give you that perspective. So, but life is still lifing, right? Life is still lifing. Like I said, I still have a full-time job. I'm a nursing faculty. I teach pathophysiology and fundamentals in nursing. I do have 3 kids who are currently, the oldest one is in 6th grade, so she's in middle school. And then I have my elementary babies, so one in 3rd grade and the other one in 2nd grade. And that also has been something that kind of has taken over a little bit of my time. As much as I want to dive into podcasting full time, I can't, not yet anyway. But during this time, I have gained a new insight of how to live more intentionally, how to not focus on myself, focus on the greater purpose that God has planted in my life. And at first, I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know if that meant like I'm going to be a content creator, or I'm going to be in network marketing, or I'm going to be a full-time nurse for the rest of my life. Like, I really don't know what that looked like back in the day. But as I got closer to God and I started building my relationship with Him, I started to learn more about myself and the calling that He has placed on my life. And that is to really share His love with everybody that I meet. And that is to share more about Him and bring more people towards Him. Because without God, you guys, it's a very sad, very dark life that I was living. And since I met Him, and since I opened my heart and my mind to Him, life has not been the same. So I also want to share a little bit about that. So what are the things that you're going to get out of this season 3 Step Into Your Calling podcast? A lot of it is going to revolve around biblical insight and how that applies into my everyday life, with the hopes that you can gain some wisdom from it and apply it to your own life, right? Very practical insight on living a more intentional life, but also building a relationship with God in the same sentence. So like simultaneously. I am going to be releasing episodes every other week to kind of give me a little bit of a space to edit and really give you content that is very intentional. Like nothing that, maybe even this is not as intentional, right? Because I'm just discussing of what's to come in the podcast. But going forward, every single episode is going to be filled with wisdom, biblical insight, practical strategies on how to build your relationship with God and live more intentionally. I'm also going to bring forward experiences that I have encountered, testimonies, interviewing other individuals who are in their faith journey and can share a little bit of that wisdom that they have learned over the years and share their testimonies with us, because I think testimonies are extremely powerful. I myself have a couple, and if you have been listening to the podcast since it launched, then you probably already listened to a couple of those testimonies that I had. So if that's something that interests you and you want to get to know me a little bit more, I would definitely recommend going back to listen to those first few episodes. Again, there is going to be a shift or a transition into a more faith-based podcast, because that is what's happening in my life now. You know, it's been happening, but as I'm listening to the old podcast episodes, I'm not gonna lie, I cringe a little bit because of the lack of knowledge or the newbie face that I was having at that time. But again, that was there for a purpose. It served its purpose in that season, and now we're gonna move forward and really dive into that growth that has happened during the break. But I'm so happy that you're here. I look forward to telling you a little bit more about myself and helping you to navigate life, because without community, life can really be a struggle, I don't encourage you to ever isolate. I don't encourage you to ever attempt to do life alone, because being alone in your own thoughts can really trigger unwanted emotions and really unwanted actions, and so I invite you to join this community of the podcast and really dive deep into building a relationship with God. And I will be adding my social media platforms into the show notes below, so that way you can join me or follow me in all social media platforms to gain a little bit more insight of who I am and the events that we host. And by we, I mean myself and the community of faith-based leaders and individuals that I have come to know up to this point. And like I said, I can't do life without community, and they are a huge part of my life and why I am where I am now. And I think that's something that we all can really benefit from, because without community, it's a very, very lonely place. So I invite you to follow me on all social media platforms, get to know a little bit about me and what it is that we're up to within the community. I also host Bible studies, as I was mentioning before. We just wrapped up a Bible study this year in September, which was just mind-blowing. And again, something that I'm going to be sharing here in the podcast. I can't give you too much info. It's just the first episode of the season. So please stay tuned. I will be publishing or releasing a new episode every 2 weeks. And that way you can put it on your planner and plan to listen to it live. What I'm going to attempt to do, and again, it's not written on stone, but what I will attempt to do is release a new episode every other Tuesday, keeping in mind that my schedule can definitely change in an instant, but by the grace of God, we will be releasing a new episode every other week. So I hope that you can turn on your notifications so that way you know when a new episode is being released. And I think that's all I have for you today. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Congratulations on completing this episode and choosing to take another meaningful step toward a deeper, more fulfilling relationship with God. If this message encouraged you or stirred something in your spirit, please share it with someone who may need that same reminder of God's love and invitation. Stay connected with me on all social media platforms at Sol Lagunas. And thank you for supporting this podcast by subscribing, rating, and reviewing. Your support truly helps this mission reach more hearts. Never forget how deeply appreciated you are. Sending you a big virtual hug. Until the next one, keep drawing closer to God and step into your calling without fear.